And here we are now at the act portion of our series for this week. Overflowing love, overwhelming love. It is a different sort of math about how we usually imagine our relationship with God. So, see, I think our math for our relationship with God looks like this. Let me illustrate. Okay? We feel like we're empty vessels. Okay? Nothing in there. This is no magic. We feel like we're empty vessels. And we will sometimes go to prayer or go to church or come to a youth group or whatever it is, and we fill up on God's love. And the way we fill up on God's love is that, we try to get it as full as possible, but as the week goes on, sometimes we consume, sometimes we sin maybe, and pour out God's love. It gets challenging. So sometimes we, end up until we feel like we're almost empty. And yeah, we are. And so then we go back to prayer, back to church, back to a youth activity, back to whatever fills us up with God's love. Maybe we go out to the woods and consider all good God's creation. And now we're filled back up again. I think that's how we imagine how God's love works. Well, I think possibly, and I've had other people suggest this to me, is that God's love is a little bit different. This is how Kendra, my friend, suggests this to me, and this is how I'm trying to share the story with you. God's love is not just meant to, keep coming back and fill up, keep coming back. No, God's love is meant to be, you just continue to make yourself always available, because God is always available. You make yourself always available to experience God's love, so much so to a point where it starts to overflow. And you just can't contain it anymore. Okay, it just is overflowing. It spills out from the top of you. And no longer is it just you sharing God's love. It just pours out of your system. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's a possibility for you. So let's look back on those words again. Look, God's dwelling place is among his people, and he dwells with them. See, God is already present. God's always present. It's not that we go to God, it's that God is with us and among his people. The scripture said, it's God making everything new. Imagine beyond what you think and imagine. Everything new, different. The scripture says, to the thirsty, I will give water without cost from the spring of the water of life. This spring of the water is used in baptism since the time of John the Baptist, cleaning people's sins. This spring of water is the living water promised by Jesus to the Samaritan woman at the well. This spring of water is used in service to wash feet of others. This spring of water is overwhelming. It's a simple tonight, whenever you watch this, we're offering you a simple call to action this week. We're asking you just to take the opportunity to remain open to God's overwhelming love and let God just pour into you. Look for God's stuff all around you. And don't keep it inside yourself just for you to consume and drink until it's lost, until it's gone. Just allow God to love you and allow God's love to overflow from you. That's the action. That's the act. Give that a consideration. We're off next weekend. We'll return in 2 weekends with a 2-week series about being brave. So, hope you've enjoyed this 4-week series and the week that happened before it. If you missed any of the elements, they're all still online. Feel free to go back and take a look. Thanks, folks.